Okay, so we've all created our separate file called dashboard, didn't we? Okay, so we're going to use this for our pivot summaries, okay, so that we can use it for our dashboard. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to create another worksheet, okay? We're going to create another worksheet that will be used for our pivot table reports, okay? So we just click on the plus for new sheet. Okay, everybody click on plus for new sheet. Okay, then rename the worksheet and then call it pivot reports. And then call it pivot reports. Yeah, we're going to put multiple reports here. Okay, so we are going to create another worksheet and call it dashboard report. No, the first one is just the data. Okay. Okay, so what we can do is we can number them 1, 2, 3. So you just double click on the data, sorry, on the first sheet, the one with the 6A. So instead of 6A, you can remove the 6A and just type 1 dot. Then the one that says pivot reports, you could double click on it and then type 2 dot. Then the one that says dashboard report, you could double click on it and say 3 dot. Okay, so the first one is color coded green. So the next two, I want you to color them blue. So to color them blue, we click on them at the same time. So to click on them at the same time, we click on the first one, press the shift key, and then do the second one. We right click on the click area, and then we say tab color, then we choose green. Sorry, we choose blue. So once you click outside of them, you'll see they are blue, just like this. Can you see? So you'll see 2 which says pivot reports, and you'll see 3 which says dashboard reports should be blue in color. How do I? This is blue and that's blue. Oh yeah, you right click on it, yeah. Yes, sorry. Okay, we are all fine. You don't need any support? Okay, let's move then. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start putting our pivot tables, and we will do our pivot charts. In fact, the fastest way to do is to run a report called pivot charts. If you run a report called pivot chart, what it does is it gives you pivot table and pivot chart. It gives you a summary in numbers and in charts. Okay. Yesterday, when we were doing the summary, the pivot in Google Sheet, I told you Google Sheet does not have the pivot chart options. So what did we do? Can you remember? We created the pivot table and we used the pivot table to do the chart. Okay, so that each time you run the pivot table, it's going to update the pivot chart. But for Excel, it has an option for pivot chart straight, which does the summary in numbers and summary in charts. Okay, so now let's start doing our pivot table. But before that, please take note of this. This is the data we are using. Okay, let's look at the data properly. The data is what? It's a sales data. Okay, that has got date, account type, amount, that's the sales amount, the name of the accounts, the branch, okay, the branch where the sales occur, okay, and the branch where the sales occur and the customer category. Okay, so this is what we have on our database. If you look at the database, it starts from the top, A1. Okay, if you want to get the best out of your database, always start from the very top. Okay, so that if you want to link this database to any of the programs, it becomes live. The life becomes very easy. For example, you could use this in a mail merge. You've done mail merge before? Mail merge in Word, yes. So you could mail merge this database in Word. So it's going to pick it from there. So always start from the top. And you could use SQL, okay, to also query this data. So always don't put any headings there because this sheet is purely your database. Okay, so always start from the top. But if you don't start from the top, it doesn't matter. You can start anywhere. But once you start, please don't leave any spaces. Don't leave any spaces as columns, neither any spaces between rows. Very important. But the best is if you are going to use your database, always dedicate a special worksheet for your database. And then start that, start that worksheet from the very top. That's from A1, just like we've seen here. So this one does not have to be formatted in any way. Okay, it does not have to be formatted in any way. But what is important is it has to follow that protocol. The data should be in fields. These are what are called fields or columns. Okay, and then they must be in rows. No spaces between fields or columns. No spaces between rows or columns. Oh, sorry, between rows. Please take note of this. Okay, so that's really, really important. If you do your database in that, then you could generate any possible report from the data, any report for that matter from the data. Okay, so that's really, really important. Okay, but before we go to doing the pivot, I want to show you how to change your range data to your to your data from range table to a data table. Okay, so what's happening is this is a table of numbers or reports, but is in the form of a range. Okay, so we want to turn this so that it can become friendly. Okay, at the moment, if you use this, there is no problem in using this, but the only problem is if you do a pivot table, right? If you add new items, it's not going to pick automatically. Okay, if you turn this data into a data table, if you add any data automatically, is gonna refresh your pivot table. It's gonna be added to your pivot table. Okay, and the advantage with a data table is it can allow you to summarize, to sort automatically, and to filter automatically. Okay, so first we're going to duplicate this worksheet and we use it for our data table. So this sheet 1, let's duplicate it and call it, let's call it data table. So to duplicate it within the worksheet, so you do the same thing. So you go to move a copy, you create a copy, but this time around you are not moving it to any book, neither you're creating any new workbook, but you are putting it here. So you say create a copy. Now let's say we want to move it before this worksheet or before the second one. Let's say we want to make it between number 1 and number 2, so that we can call it 1B. So we click on 2 and we say, okay. So once you do that, it's gonna go and open, replicate it, and it's going to call it pivot data, but then 2. So let's double click on this and call it what? Data table. Okay, so, and I'm going to call this 1B, then this other one, I'm going to call it 1A. So they are all 1 because both of them are databases. So 1A will be pivot data and 1B will be a data table. 1A is a range table, whilst 1B is going to be a data table. Okay, what's the difference between the two? Have you worked with data tables before? Okay, you haven't. Okay, fine. It's just simple. It's just turning this in a proper way. Okay, so how do you do that? Let's go to data table 1B. So let's click 1B. Now, we want to highlight this whole worksheet and turn it into a data table. So we have various ways of doing it. One, we could click on the first one, which is the date one, okay? So we click Shift, Control, arrow going to the right, and then arrow going down. Automatically, it's going to select everything. That's one way of selecting, which is very fast. Okay, another way of selection is by using your mouse, isn't it? So we can click on the first one, then we use our mouse and drag. There's no problem with this, but it is slow, especially when the data is huge. It is slow, isn't it? Okay, so the best way to do is we can either click on the first one, then we say Shift, Control, arrow going to the right, arrow going down. That's the second option. But the first option, what's the fastest way of selecting this? There's a function. Control A, exactly. Control A. So we press Control A, that's going to automatically select the whole thing. Huh? No, it's selected. It's just that when I was doing it, the cursor was there. See? If I put the cursor here, then I do Control A. Okay, yeah, show us another way, yeah. This one? Okay, I click. Will that do it? That will be the entire worksheet. Look at it. Not only your database, but the entire worksheet, yes. Okay, correct. Okay, so we say Control A. That will select everything. Okay, but now let's say you want to turn this into a data table. The fastest way to do is we press Control T. Control T, T for table. So you have to click somewhere inside the database and press Control T, T for table. So if you do that now, it's trying to tell you, do you want to create a table? Look, it's a data table. Okay, where is the data for your table? Okay, because we have a proper database, it has gone to highlight, okay, the data area, which is from A1 to F61. So why do we have these dollar signs there? Okay, because the space, the area that's going to select is going to be constant. You cannot move it. Okay, but when you turn it into data table, you could automatically move it. Is it too cold? It's too cold. Yeah, let's switch off one of them. Yeah, me, that's why I brought my jacket. Okay, so we say create a table, and it says these are the area of the table. Let us not switch off all of them, otherwise we'll be warm, yeah? Maybe we switch off one of them for now. Okay, so it says what? My table has headers. My table has headers. Okay, what are headers? Headers are this, date, account type, and so on. So it already has it. Because if this is not checked, it's going to go and give you headers. Okay, so this is already checked, meaning your table has already got headers. Then you say, okay. So once you say, okay, look at it. It has gone to do a table for you. Be nice now. Yes. And not only it has given you nice colors, but you can change these colors to your taste. You can change them to your taste. Okay? You can see on top, you can see the various styles. Okay, table styles. You can see, you can change the colors. Can you see them? Okay, and again, it has not only done the colors for you. Look at what it has. Look, what are all these buttons? What are filter buttons? So it has automatically filtered the data for you as well. Okay, it has automatically filtered the data for you as well. Okay, can we see? All right. So what does this mean? This means that the data has been, the filter button has been done automatically for you. So if you want to filter, you can easily filter easily. So let's say we want to filter on column F, we can just click on the button, the filter button. Okay, so this simply shows you what are some of the data fields that are there. So for all of them is only two. It's only the existing and the new. Okay, so if you want to filter it, you could, at the moment, all of them are selected. So you could select it in such a way that you select only the existing one. Okay, once you do that, it's going to show you the data for the existing ones only. If you want for the new one, you could always go and get it there. Watch out for something. Look at the funnel, look at this icon compared to these other icons. What does this tell you? Okay, it tells you that this particular column has been filtered. So, huh? Yes, yeah, Samson, exactly. So that is it. Okay, it has been filtered. So this icon will be the funnel. You see, this is the funnel icon, isn't it? So that means that it has been filtered. You know, you use the funnel to filter, don't we? From childhood, those who have done their childhood in the village, you know, in those days, they will, your grandma or your mom will send you with a bottle. They go and buy oil, and they will put it in that. They will put a funnel. You know, the funnel was used so that it can easily flow in there, and then there will be a filter at the bottom, so that if there are any impurities, then it will just trap it. So it's the same thing here. So that's the purpose of the filter. Okay, so if you've seen this, then that means it has been filtered. Okay, so to remove the filter, okay, so to remove the filter, you click back on there and you say clear filter. So once you say clear filter, look at it, the filter has disappeared, and that means everything is shown. Or once you come here, because when it was filtered, only one was selected, so you can come back and click on select all. That will also clear the filter. Okay? We know how to filter, yeah? Okay. So we could use this option easily to sort data and in ascending order or descending order. Okay, so we could sort in ascending order. Okay, so that will sort everything starting with E and ending with N. Can you see? It has all been sorted. Okay, so if we want, we could sort it also according to the account type, or we could sort it according to the branch. Okay, so we could come here. Let's say we want to sort in descending order, so we can just come and sort in descending order. Okay. Compare this table to this table. Can you compare the two? This one is seriously sleeping and slumbering, whilst this one is really, really awake. And this is different from the pivot table. So if you use this in your pivot table, your analysis becomes easy. And another advantage of this is, if you use this in your data analysis, once you come and start adding something here, okay, let's go to the bottom. See, automatically the table has adjusted itself. Can you see? You add another one, it will adjust itself automatically. But with this, no. If you use in our formula, it's going to stop where you stop. Okay. Can you see? Yeah, so we just took that off. Okay, excellent. So we could just remove the filter. Like I said, we could just come back. This one is clear. This is only sorted, not filtered. Okay, we could, sort it ascending order or descending order, or in any order. Okay. Okay, so you know how to do a data table. This is what we call a data table. This is what we call a range table. Okay, in a data table, it's flexible. You could easily analyze data. Like here also, you could look at the amounts also. Can you see? The various amounts that are there will all be stated. Can you see? The account type, the branch, you can see all of them here. So if you want to sort it, you want to filter it accordingly, you just choose any one. Okay, so this is one way of interpreting your data, okay? But this is not report generation. Okay, this is different from the pivot table. Okay, but if you want to get the best out of your pivot table, you link your pivot table to a data table, not to a range table. This is a range table, this is a data table. So like I said, from top, you can change the color. Okay, once you click on your table, you could just click inside it, then the various colors will appear. Okay. So you can choose it from the form. No, don't write it, just normal click. Click inside. No, click inside. Look at this time. Click, click inside. Okay. So you see table designs. You have various designs. Yeah, and then you can click. Okay, so once you click on your table, it will give you table options. Mine, because it's projected, it's not showing that properly. So it will show you table options. So you click on table options, then you can choose your colors. Okay, if you click inside, it will show you what table options. Let's see if I can get it here. Have table. Okay, then styles, no, because it's projected, it's not showing me. Quick, yeah, the styles are quick styles. So you can choose any of them. Yes.
In the event you want to segment your the information, the data you have, how do you segment it by colors?
What do you mean segmenting it by color?
For instance, with this sheet we have, maybe we want to have maybe three different colors. And you want to have the central red color, what is it called? Western, maybe blue, and then maybe northern, we have green. So how do you do that in a document, in one sheet?
What you can do is you could do a conditional formatting. You could do a color conditional formatting so that the ones that are central will be that color, and then the ones that are, I'll show you how to do that. Okay. But for now, let's just concentrate on this one. So you see how brilliant this is? You could just change any, okay, with the quick colors. Okay, so let's move on. This is the way we do our, we change our, how to call it, range data to our data. So our how to call it, the range table to our data table. Okay. Good. So now let's start with our pivots. Let's start with our pivots. So let's go back to our sheet 2, which says pivot reports. Okay, are we all there? Okay, so we're going to generate our first pivot report. I don't want the videos to be too long, so I can just